Coming to you from the depths of the galaxy, bringing you hot takes, hot news, and spicy discussions about games. We are the Uneducated Gamers! This episode is brought to you by GalaxyGameTV.com and Shipping Shield, creator of the cardboard top loader alternative, environmentally safe shipping card protection made in the USA. Go to shippingshieldus.com for more details. Do the dab. Do the dab.
Do a little dance. Make a little love.
What's up, everybody? We are the Uneducated Gamers Podcast, and I'm Chris.
I'm Michael.
And today we have a very spicy, as I say all the time, spicy episode about gaming. But before we do that, Mike, hit me with some of those quick hits of news.
A major leak reveals about 28 pages of the Warhammer 40k 10th edition rulebook online.
Chicka, what? What? So, non-40k Warhammer brain, what does that actually mean? Like, what? How bad? How detrimental is that to the...
Not detrimental at all, but it was super. The online was super abuzz about it. There's already like videos like, let's talk about the rules that have leaked. It's not detrimental at all. If anything, it probably just drives hype. But it is a pretty significant leak.
Is it as hype as our intro?
No, nothing is more hype than that. But yeah, about 28 pages leaked for the 10th edition rulebook. Already articles and videos and everything, breakdowns have been going around online about, we saw a bunch of the, basically the entire turn structure based down with some extra rules in there. We saw some keywords defined for weapons that we hadn't seen before. And I think some, if not all, of the core stratagems. So a lot of information.
So you say 28 pages. In the grand scheme of things, when we talk about a major edition rulebook, like, give me a scale. Like, what is that from normal amount of pages?
It's a lot of the rulebook.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's like most of the rules.
Okay.
Next up, EU approves Microsoft's $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. It went through.
The EU?
The EU has pushed it through, or allowed it through.
Yeah, but you know what? It's kind of funny. At the end of that, a day later, the UK put out a statement and said, "Yeah, we understand what EU's position is, but at this point, we're not changing our position."
Who said that?
The UK.
Oh, because that's local. That's different than the EU Council.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So
I guess, yeah, that makes sense.
So the UK still has to, like, they denied it a little while back, and the UK came out and said, "Well, we're not changing our mind, but Microsoft is appealing in the UK at the moment."
Damn Tories.
And then, yeah, and then we still have the FTC to still go through. So we have UK and FTC that still has to complete, so we're still not out of the woods yet, but the EU approving it is actually a huge step forward.
That's a big hurdle.
For Microsoft, yeah. So we'll see. We probably have another month until we kind of see all of the appeals come through, but I think it spells hopeful for the acquisition of Activision Blizzard for Microsoft.
Manufacturing company Sharp, located in Japan, right? They're located in Japan?
Yeah.
Has announced or admitted, one or the other, that they are currently producing screens for a next-generation console.
Yes. So Sharp made a statement during an earnings call that they were making a screen for a next generation console.
They did not specifically say who or what console, But context clues.
Context clues of the fact that Sharp has helped the manufacturing of the Switch during COVID, right?
Hmm.
Sharp also was one of the manufacturers of some of the screens for the OLED, I believe. And they have been linked closely from a manufacturing perspective to some of the things that Nintendo has been producing and Sharp has been supporting their technology efforts. Additionally, how many other next generation consoles have screens attached to them?
Does Sony still do the weird PlayStation controller thing with a screen on it?
No.
Then I can't think of very many, unless they're bringing back the DS.
No, they're not going to bring back the DS. No. I mean,
the other breadcrumb that we need to follow is this coincides with Nintendo admitting in an earnings call that Switch sales are declining. So all this to say is it's another prediction of either a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro coming out in the near future.
Right, because so what and to that point, right, is and in that part of news, if you're parsing this out and really connecting some of these dots, right? Like Nintendo Switch has also they have lowered their target numbers for the next quarter. Why would
According to an article published by TechSpot, they said that they have put their expectation down to 15 million units.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
Which is still a lot of units, but...
But still, why would you do that if you are not expected to replace said system that is currently being sold? So
I guess I didn't fully realize, just like I knew the Switch was a popular console, but hear this, it says they sold 17.98 million Switch handhelds for the year ending in March 31 of this year, because that's the whole reason this stuff's coming out, because the end of March this month is the end of the fiscal year for a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
But that's that roughly 18 million Switches is a decline of 22% from sales last year.
Right.
That's a lot.
You know what's funny is I don't think anybody is ever going to hit DS level numbers ever. I don't think. DS level numbers.
The DS was an incredibly popular console.
Between DS and PS2, I feel like nobody's going to top that. It's going to be very hard to top that because I think the market is so spread out now that there's just no way you're going to top 155 million units sold.
On to our main topic of the evening. This news has the internet up in arms. Apparently, Blizzard announced that they are dropping all development of the PVE content that they were working on for Overwatch 2.
Dun dun dun!
Ba ba ba!
So, like, this seems like a big freaking deal. Like, this is something that I think I feel like I follow a lot of news, and I guess this kind of flew under my radar a little bit. And I'm not an Overwatch player yet, but I feel like this is something that sounds major, that is not super blown out there, but I could be wrong. I might just be missing it.
We talked about development of Overwatch 2 quite a while ago before it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, the PVE content was the main. It was their main marketing for Overwatch 2. Because outside of they wanted to create a single player space where people could come in and play a character, and they would have an RPG like progression system and open-end progression with level ups and individualized skill trees and whatever have you. And this is what they were pushing. The multiplayer was going to largely remain the same, except going free to play, which was a thing that apparently made people mad because the Overwatch crowd is one of the few crowds still addicted to loot boxes. Um, but yeah, that was the thing. They were pushing off development for multiplayer to put as many eggs into their PVE basket as possible. And it kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And Blizzard, for what it's worth, Blizzard has been embroiled in a lot of other problems going on internally since then. The Jeff, I'm blanking on the name. Mr. Jeff Overwatch himself, left the Jeff Kaplan. That's the name. Jeff Kaplan left the project before Overwatch 2 even released. He was done with it, and then you had all the sexual assault stuff going on within Blizzard that started to happen around that time, and all the PvE content kept getting pushed back. They've added some new stuff into the multiplayer sense, some new maps, some new characters, and just recently they finally announced, listen, we're just not going to be able to deliver on what we promised for single player.
So what does that actually do? And again, forgive me because I have not been able to I have it installed, but I haven't had a chance or time to get into Overwatch 2 yet. But like, what does that do to the paradigm of the game itself as it sits today for people from an enjoyment perspective or enjoying the game?
As far as I'm aware, it is not going to immediately affect the multiplayer portion of Overwatch 2, which is the only portion that has been publicly available since launch. The game...
Wait,
yes.
let me pause for a second then. So that means like PvE hasn't even been a thing just yet.
No, it has not released. They have not released any PvE content yet.
Okay. So
they've been dangling it, they've been promising it, they've been pushing it back. It's still not, none of it is out yet.
Got it. Okay. So that has come full circle for me for now. So, okay. So nothing necessarily changed. So basically, at this point, the game stays as PvP at this point, right?
Yep. Think of it like Halo Infinite or Destiny. Those are two good examples. Without any of the campaign content. Only multiplayer, only Crucible.
Okay. So here's a question, though. And I'll think about it from a business perspective, right? Let's talk about what it is currently, and that's PvP, right? Clearly, the numbers that they're pulling with PvP is satisfying the sort of quota of what they want.
I have to imagine so. To Overwatch's credit, they are one of the premier multiplayer games out there. They even have a really solid esports following with a bunch of franchised teams and all the likes.
So, which means, and from a business perspective, and not saying that this is correct or this is right, but if we purely look at from in a vacuum, right, from a business perspective, it sounds like PvP and everything that they kind of just put into it now and what they're doing is really the core audience of what they're doing. It's like, I think of Commander for Magic the Gathering, right? Like, Commander has been the staple of really Magic content and Magic formats for the last 4 to 5 years, right? So they've been putting they've been putting their eggs in the basket for Commander for some time now.
Now with the caveat there that may have not actually been the correct thing to do.
Sure.
Because they have alienated a lot of Commander players by doing that, and also recently publicly admitted that, hey, maybe only focusing on the casual side was bad for business.
Right. But again, that's a business decision, not a game design decision. Right?
Yes, I mean, to be fair, and I have some quotes from developers and team leads from a couple of different articles that have come out. It's a business decision, yes, because the free-to-play multiplayer side has to be doing well, or they wouldn't continue to do it, right?
Right.
They were clearly subsidizing development of the single-player side with the multiplayer side. But also from a developer perspective, I think what they really did was they took the team that they have left, after people have quit the company, after they've been sued for this, that, and the other thing. They took a look at the team they had left, at the resources they have left, and they said, we are not going to be able to deliver this to the standard that we have set forth for ourselves, and therefore we're just going to scrap it and focus that effort on the multiplayer instead, because we would rather give you a better multiplayer experience than the worst of both worlds.
But that's not a terrible perspective.
No, I actually respect that a lot. It's definitely disappointing, but I respect it from a creative standpoint, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I hear you. Like the look, it'd be like let's just actually, I'll give you a parallel from a fan and gamer perspective is Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? Final Fantasy VII Remake, and this is a loose parallel, but it's slightly a parallel. Final Fantasy VII Remake came out on PS4, right? Then subsequently they said, well, yeah, we can't do the next iteration on PS4, so it's only going to come out in PS5 going forward after that.
Sure.
And it's not exactly the same because they're not actually doing PVE, but I think the attitude towards providing the experience and the best experience possible for the users, I think in this aspect has a parallel in that conversation's sake. I mean, it's not the same, but it's kind of the same.
Sure, I hear you. I wanted to. A lot of this information that I have here comes from a couple of Games Radar articles on the subject.
Okay.
And I want to read here. I've got a set of quotes from a couple of different interviews that I kind of stitched together. One here says, in a live stream accompanying the Overwatch 2 roadmap, Blizzard confirmed that the original plans for a separate distinct hero mode with open-ended progression and talent systems will now be replaced by regular co-op gameplay and co-op experiences baked into the live service experience. So one of the things I do want to point out is, I don't know how much of Overwatch 1 you played.
Probably about 20 to 30 hours.
Did you ever catch any of the rotating story mode events?
A little bit, yes.
Because they had holiday stuff, they had the archives, they
Yes.
had... I think that what they're trying to say is what they have developed is going to make it into content similar to that in Overwatch 2. Because they have some stuff prepared, right? Either just rehashes of the holiday stuff they had before, but also they have been working on newer campaign stuff. So it appears that from that quote that they're going to try to include some of it in the Overwatch 2 free-to-play client as it stands, as rotating story events. Which I think is fair enough.
Yeah.
Executive producer Jared Neuss... sorry, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that name correctly. Neuss? Executive producer Jared Neuss said in a dev stream that, quote, those things just aren't in our plans anymore, because it's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision for PvE.
So let me ask this question, and maybe this is the part that I don't fully understand. When we talk about the vision for PvE, and I actually, it's interesting because I do think of Overwatch as a PvP game. Like I've never really, I'll be honest with you, I've never really thought, I know that some of their aspirations was to originally, even in the first one, was to provide a good PvE experience, but I don't even think one really did it well.
No, it didn't.
And
the things they rotated in and out were definitely fun to play a couple of times.
yeah,
But you can only play what is it, Dr. Junkenstein so many times before it's
yeah, it was pretty like stale. I think the core idea or the core game of Overwatch, in my opinion, has always been PvP. And so when we talk about Overwatch 2 and their vision for PvE, can you explain or do you understand truly what their vision was for PvE coming out of?
Yes,
Okay.
actually, they had Oh, let's see if I can take a second and pull something up because they definitely had tech demos even um, early on. One I distinctly remember was they were showing off some hero powers they had invented for May, the Antarctic ice character,
Okay.
if you remember
Yeah.
May,
Yeah. Yeah.
where they had her like you could spec into like her being able to turn into a snowball and like roll over enemies and things like that. But this was all based on like a skill tree that you could
Oh,
spec in and out
yes.
of.
I actually do think I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
So yeah, and to your point of it always being a PVE for or a PvP first game, this final quote I have um, is from the Games Radar article. It says, "We made a commitment to always prioritize the live game and to all of the people playing it, and to devote all of our development efforts there. We want you to experience it more often and with more variety than we originally announced." So basically, what they're saying here is they wanted to prioritize giving more varied experiences. Because one of the complaints about Overwatch 1 initially, which again was mostly multiplayer focused, was that it's the same maps every time. We've been playing largely the same characters for the last couple of years. We want something fresh, and that's been a consistent complaint online. Overwatch 2 has already started to deliver on that. We have several new maps, already at least three new characters. Um, no, one, two, three. It might be four. Anyway, 3 to 4 new characters. Um, and they have, along with this, released a roadmap that we've got another 2 new characters on the roadmap for the next couple of seasons. So they are giving us what they promised from the PvP side, which is new content and new maps and new characters. And this will give them the ability to do that and focus on that more if they're not spending development time on PvE.
Yeah, so here's something interesting, and not to debunk what we've already discussed a bit here, but something that was published about 19 hours ago with Eurogamer, and I will drop this link here in Discord for you. Overwatch, um, the update here is saying that the developer Blizzard has spoken out to reassure fans upset by its decision to ditch plans for PvE hero mode, to say it still has a lot of PvE content still in the pipeline. So a clarification that they're saying that I want to make is that while we made the decision to cut hero mode plus talents, we have a lot of PvE content coming this year. Overwatch 2 director producer Jared wrote on Twitter this morning. This amounted to big story missions, new cinematics, co-op events, and single-player hero mastery missions for the game. Even if its hero mode has been left on the cutting room floor, more on that to follow. So, I'm curious, and again, I've played Overwatch 1, and I didn't really like their PvE experience, so I just played PvP, which was, fine. But I guess when we're talking about still having PvE elements, and I'm still trying to wrap this in my head, because the last game that I knew that did that well was like Unreal Tournament.
Oh, sure.
What does that actually mean in the Overwatch world to still have PvE content or elements within?
Like I said, I think it's going to look like a lot like it did in Overwatch 1, where you will have rotating story events or seasonal events. Maybe there's going to be stuff that sticks around. Maybe some of this new PvE content that they've put a lot of time developing in is just going to always be available in a PvE menu. That's possible too, but I think we can expect it to look more like single missions, short stories, replayable. The replayable co-op events reminds me of like Archives or the anniversary events.
Yeah, I don't see.
Black Watch, remember the Black Watch events?
Yeah. See, I never really consider that PvE content. I guess you could.
I mean, that's what it was. It was story missions. It wasn't open world. It wasn't PvE in the same way that Destiny is
Yeah,
PvE.
you're right. You're right. Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. It's
Destiny is, I think, more of like what they were trying to emulate. Not nearly to that scope, obviously, but that's kind of the vibe they were trying to develop for, and they admitted it was too much for them. Their bar was set too high.
I appreciate the decision and the fact that the company has said we can't deliver on our vision, and I'm sorry, but if we don't feel like it's going to work, then there's no reason for us to continue doing that.
No. No, you might as well put the effort into making a much better version of what you have,
Yeah.
rather than putting, half effort into two things, one of which is bad.
Yeah. And
I also had. Go ahead, you first.
No, I was gonna say I know, and I'm sorry that I took us down a couple of different rabbit holes, but I think it's important to really reminisce and think about. Yes, people are angry that this is not happening, but at the same time, you have to really think about: are you going to be angry if the PVE sucks bananas? And you don't want to play it anyways because it's not what the developer wanted to do in the first place. They're just releasing it because the fans want it. Or are you angry because you just don't like PvP? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's...
Yeah. If you were really, really, really wanted a good PvE game, I honestly think there's probably better titles to do that in anyway.
I agree.
Like Destiny, like Returnal.
Right.
I actually really enjoy. I don't know if you can consider it, but we'll bring Dark Souls and Elden Ring back up in this. That's PvE.
Yeah.
There's a solid PvP element to Dark Souls that definitely makes it in the PvE category.
Exactly. Exactly.
Something that was also pointed out to me earlier today that I thought was very poignant was if they're focused on frequently releasing new characters for the PvP side, and they wanted to also support all their characters in the PvE side, well, that's a really big ask, right? If you've got one or two new characters a season, that's a whole lot of PvE content you have to develop around that character outside of just developing their PvP abilities and balancing them in the multiplayer. That's a lot even for a much bigger dev team to think about.
Well, and yes, I agree, and that's where I think, like even likes of Diablo 4, right? Games like Diablo, who previously were focused primarily on PvE and then had a PvP component. Ultimately, they've realized that PvP and PvE can blend well when you build a game mechanic that sort of really melds with that. And Diablo is one of those games that blurs that line so well, and it has since Diablo 2, that I don't think many games can match because of the type of game that it is.
Here's another thing I want to touch on. So the example I want to give is the opposite, right? It was PvE, well, not necessarily PvE, but campaign focused first, and then multiplayer added in. And there was this situation that I'm sure people are already like starting to suspect that I'm talking about, but as soon as I say the name, you'll go, oh yeah, this was bad. Where they had this really, really, really good single player portion going, and trying too hard to force the other half of that, the PvP half of that in, actually tanked the game. Mass Effect 3.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Mass Effect 3 was destroyed because they focused too hard on adding something new and didn't focus on what they already had that was good.
Yeah, that was the honestly, that was the downfall of Mass Effect 3. Like Mass Effect 1 and 2 was fantastic. But the 3 was I really hope, just a plug, I think most people know this already, but Mass Effect 5 is coming out in 2024.
I had heard rumors. I didn't know there was a release date.
Yeah. Well, back channel information.
Okay.
2024. 2024, late 2024, early 2025. Mass Effect 5 is coming out. It's going to continue on. But yeah, I mean, Mass Effect 3, you are 1000% correct. That was a travesty. And it's unfortunate, but that is, again, going back to the earlier point about releasing something that the fans want or are saying they want versus doing a business decision to rather better the product that they're producing. I mean, I'm still always going to err on the side of the better product than doing what the fans want.
Absolutely. Yeah, and continuing my point there, would I like to see really well done PVE content in Overwatch? Sure. I would give it a shot. I would play it. I would enjoy it. It would be fun. But if that PVE content comes at the expense of the PvP side, which, like you, I think is the main side of engagement, that's the core of what Overwatch really is.
Yeah.
If PvP fails because PvE was the focus, that would have not been acceptable to me.
Yeah, so let me ask this. Here's an interesting jaunt, right? Knowing that PvE content is like gone, right?
Gone.
We know that's gone. But if we think about what is the ideal state that PvE should be in for an Overwatch game, knowing that I don't play it, but I know you do, you guys and you and the Discord play Overwatch 2 very often. Like, is there a formula that you could see from a player perspective that would produce from a PvE perspective that would be acceptable?
If I could have anything I wanted, magical Christmas land.
Yeah, magic wand. Yeah,
magic wand. I think the skill tree RPG elements are missing the mark. If I had to state my own opinion, I don't think that's really what Overwatch is about. I think you have your characters with set skills that you want to play through. Set skills, set personalities. You're not trying to role play as anything. You are Reinhardt. This is what Reinhardt can do. You are Tracer. This is what Tracer can do. And similar to some of the more story focused rotating PvE events in Overwatch 1, like Blackwatch, for example. Those were fun to play through. If I could develop a full-on single-player side or co-op player side of Overwatch, I would do something more in the style of Halo Reach campaign, where you have a set team of people, whether AI controlled or co-op player controlled, that you go through a series of story missions with. And it makes the facsimile of playing on the Overwatch team and going through stories. Because there's a canon. There's an Overwatch canon that largely takes place in third-party media, comic books. I don't think there's any novels. There's been online stories written. There's been comic books written. I don't think any other like novels or anything. But I would love to see some of those stories be rolled into Overwatch, the game, and expressed as a series of campaign missions. Much like the Blackwatch, but expanded more out to something grander scale, like a Halo Reach.
To wrap us up, right? Like, if we were to, like, kind of, like, put this in a bow, like, what matters? Like what are, as far as opinions go, and really kind of what are those things that kind of matter?
To put this in a nice package, Blizzard apologized that they can't do it or won't do it, and fans are understandably upset. This is a carrot that's been dangling in front of them since before the game launched. The game launched without the PVE content. A lot of people were mad, but they kept playing PvP and said, we're waiting for it. And now it's officially not coming. And I get it. People feel misled. People feel rug pulled. I get it. I get why you're upset. Although, asterisk on that, the game is free to play. You didn't lose any money or anything. It's not like you pre-ordered PvE content and then didn't get it. The game is free to play.
Yeah.
So I don't. Well, I understand why you're upset. I don't understand why people are like that upset. But I respect Blizzard for standing up, apologizing, saying this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, taking their lumps, and saying we're going to dedicate to the portion of the game that we have established, that we know works, that we feel is the core of the game, and we're going to make it the best version of itself that we can.
Thank you for listening to our latest episode. You can comment on this and other episodes at galaxygametv.com. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitch for additional gaming content. Also, if you want to support our show or Galaxy Game TV, check out our Patreon for exclusive content and great giveaways to our supporters. Until next time, we bid you farewell.